Are you gonna, just so I know, were you gonna send that over, or do you have other plans? I'm happy to do it.
You're muted, Sue.
Hey, John, I might send it over. I'll send you an email if I do.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
All right, we still have people coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and get us started while people are still hopping on board. First, thanks for everybody coming out. Unfortunately, we've had some issues with the internet at the clubhouse. The plan was to do a social for those who are comfortable and then do the meeting with Zoom at the same time, but we needed the Wi-Fi to work. I wasn't optimistic that my hotspot would be able to handle the load, and we had the internet working. Then it went back down this morning, so we made the command decision to go ahead and just Zoom it this time. But that's why we're on Zoom again. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do congratulations for accomplishments. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go through do it a little different this time. I'm gonna go through and ask each instructor to sort of tell us any accomplishments on their end, and then if we have any members who had some accomplishments outside the club, we're happy to hear that. So I'm going to start. We'll start alphabetically. I don't know if Mike Allen is on here. Mike, if you're here, you want to chime in? If you have anybody? No. All right, we'll go next. Will be Vicky Bevan. Vicky.
No real events this time.
Okay. I have Russell. Russell, you on? May not be on. Go back, David Daywood. David.
Nothing so far.
What are you guys doing?
Well, I just started a few months ago. There wasn't.
All right, I'm just kidding. I don't got anything either. Phil Irving, if he had anybody, it was in Connecticut. So I don't think you had anybody, did you, Phil? Rick Niles.
Well, Dave Cristofano got 20 stamps at Virginia airports. Does that count?
Sure. Just have
I may have gotten 20 stamps as well.
just have them keep flying. Tell them to get all the states. Doug Tucci, are you on here? I don't think he is. I didn't have anybody. I've been primarily doing stage checks as opposed to actually training. John Tyrell, anybody on your end?
Yeah, I've had a handful of new member checkouts into the club, which we love. We welcome all new pilots to FMFA, and so we look forward to more of those coming up.
Perfect. Marty Sachs, do you have anything to tell us?
Nothing to tell you, Frank.
Okay. And then Adam Zoff. Adam on here? Yeah, he's here. You're on mute, Adam.
I think you guys got Eldon last time. Nothing new after that.
Okay. So David Wacker is not on, but he did send me a list. So for him, he had several first solos. Ahmed Tarani. Ahmed, are you on here? I thought he was, but congrats to Ahmed for doing his first solo. I have Mario Martimucci. Mario, you on? He got his first solo. Edward Lorenzo. Edward, you on here?
Yes, sir.
There we go. He gets the prize. Congratulations, Edward.
Got a good team there.
Thank you. We have Michael Davison. Michael, you on? Okay, he did his first solo. I have Abid Dodun Wasanya. You on? All right. Well, he got his first solo as well. David also had Gary Willits got his instrument rating. Gary, you're on here?
I am very
There he
happy.
is. And Gary is very deep into his commercial ride, which he should hopefully have shortly. Congratulations, Gary. I have, and then Corey Malinowski got his private. Corey, you on? Well, he got his private pilot's license, so congratulations. Let's see. I also have Wesley Norman. Wes, are you on here?
Yes, I am.
All right, congrats. He got his private pilot as well. He was kind of a joint effort between David Wacker and Russell. So we'll give credit to both of them for getting Wes through there. And I think, Wes, you're pretty deep into your instrument as well, aren't you?
Only about 12 hours now.
Okay. So congratulations to everyone. Is there any members that did anything outside the club they want to brag about? This is the time to do it.
Yeah, hey, this is Keith Tyson. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Keith, go ahead.
Yeah, I passed my instrument rating over at NAFC back in July the 23rd. So all done now.
Excellent, Keith. Congratulations. NAFC is a substandard school compared to us, but
All right.
we're one and the same. So good job, Keith. That's good news. Anybody else out there? No twins, rotorcraft. I would imagine Fletcher would have his ATP by now, but I don't know what he's doing. All right, so we're going to move on. Fortunately, we haven't had any issues in terms of safety, which is fantastic. We do continue to have a couple of issues with the club that we want to go over real quick. One of the things that we got to be real careful about is inputting the correct numbers. The problem we had this past week with the internet down, you needed to use your app on your phone or your tablet, and it's really easy to screw it up. And the problem is if you screw it up bad enough, the system will automatically ground the plane, which causes a problem for the people behind you. And then it causes a problem for us because then we get emails and texts and phone calls saying, I can't dispatch a plane because it's grounded because it's 1,000 hours past its 100-hour annual 100-hour inspection. So let's pay attention to that. For the planes that do not have the red or the sort of the cinch ties, the ones where we're using a rope still, if you're not comfortable with how to do a knot, please ask one of the instructors or one of the office staff to show you. It's been an ongoing problem forever. Mike Bevan had a knot tying session 20 years ago, I think. So we still, and it's something that you need to do because if you go to another airport, you might be using ropes, and we need to make sure we get those tied down. COVID.
This is John. I have something to add.
Sure.
Regarding tying down the airplanes, if an airplane only has one set of available chocks, chalk the nose gear instead of one of the mains. All of a sudden now I'm seeing one of the mains being chalked. And there's a good reason of physics why we want to chalk the nose. Mike Bevan also explained that a while back. So again, if you only have one pair of chocks, please.
Did everybody get that? John was saying how if there's only one set of chocks, do the nose instead of doing one of the mains.
Chalk the nose.
Okay, John, you kind of faded out there on me. I don't know if everybody else got faded out as well, but I think we got the gist of it. moving on, we got COVID. COVID is still around. I mean, I would recommend everybody get a vaccine. It seems to be making sense to do it. We're not mandating, masks inside the clubhouse. If you're vaccinated, if you're unvaccinated, you probably should be wearing a mask. We're also monitoring what the county's restrictions and so whatever the county does, we're going to do. If potentially we could even be more stringent than the county, depending on what's going on. But the bottom line is safety and trying to keep things safe. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. So kind of pay attention. If you're not getting the emails through FSP, let us know. But I think if you're on this Zoom, you got your email for it through FSP. So let's do that. Currency. We still have occasionally issues with currency. If you're not current, and I'm talking about the club currency, which is more stringent than the FAA, stay on that. Let us know, as soon as you can. So we're not dealing with having to deal with you being upset because you can't dispatch on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. because you're not current in a system. And then you're, trying to reach out to Sue or myself or somebody else to get that fixed. Okay, one of the things where you want to talk about is volunteers. I want everybody to be real aware of what Sue Hall does for this organization. I have a full-time job. I have an elderly parent I got to deal with, and I'm still trying to teach a little bit and do the stage checks. Honestly, for the last couple of months, Sue has been handling the lion's share of keeping this operation going. So if you see Sue, you should thank Sue, because if we didn't have this, her, I'm not so sure what would be happening in this environment.
Thanks, Frank.
You're very welcome. With that said, the more volunteers we have, the better that we have. So I'm going to have, so if you don't mind, I want you to go talk about the captain situation and what your plan is on that.
We've heard other clubs have done something along this line where each plane has a captain, and the captain monitors that plane, checks it, say once a week, and gets the trash out of it, monitors things that it needs. A few of them need new cowling plugs, as an example. And you'd have that job for 6 months, and it would be your airplane to take care of. And we will have a meeting of all the people that volunteer to be captains to decide what exactly we want to do in addition to cowling plugs. I think the Warrior's missing a pitot cover right now. So it comes and goes, but you would be the one monitoring that airplane. Frank Turney and Phil Irving have said they would take 780, the Arrow. So we have 781, 782, 783, the Warrior, and the two 150s. So if you're interested in doing that, if you would fire me off an email, I'd appreciate it. And we can just look at how we want to get that done. Do you want me to go on with the other stuff I'm looking at, Frank? You're muted.
Go for it.
Go for it. Okay. Frank's talked about helping out at the club, and we've asked for volunteers every time. So I thought I would get a little bit more specific this time. The person who generally helps me update the safety completions is Gabe Olkowski. John Tyrell has been doing it the last few times. That's why I asked him about it tonight. But when people email me and say, Sue, I completed the homework, I fired it off to Gabe, and Gabe will update FSP for me. Updating the GPS every 4 weeks. We have to update the GPS in all the airplanes so you have the correct database. David Wacker has been doing that for us, but I'd like to get somebody else trained so we have some depth in that. If you look around the club, somebody one time must have dumped the hole puncher, and there was little white dots all over the floor. So every once in a while, we just need to have somebody vacuum the carpet, and the vacuum is in towards the back in the back cubicle. There's also dusters on top of the lockers. So if somebody wants to grab that duster when you're waiting for your instructor, if they're not there yet, or you're waiting for your plane, just do a little bit of dusting. That would help. Straightening up the tables, the chairs around the tables. Have them all down low enough that the handles, the armrests fit under the table, and neaten the place up before you leave if you're the last one out. Turning off the lights when you're the last one out. Emptying the trash. People amaze me. They keep filling that trash can up till it's overflowing. You walk right by the dumpster when you go out the gate. It's just there to your right. So if you could do that, just keep the place a little bit neater. It doesn't take a lot of time if you just do like 1 or 2 things each time you're in there. Also, the oil, quarts of oil, once you put it in the plane, we cannot recycle that. And there's a trash can on the corner of the hangar as you're going out towards the gate. It's on your left. When you make that turn heading towards the street, the trash can's right there. I have a recycle container for water bottles, soda cans, and paper just as you walk in, right before you get to the glass display cabinet. So if you want to recycle stuff, that's the place to do it. The other thing I've come in and found 4 or 5 approach plates copied on the printer. You need to come in prepared for your lesson. You shouldn't be making last minute copies of approaches. I know when I fly with Phil Irving, he tells me exactly what we're going to do that day and where we're going, so I know and can prepare ahead of time. So I just ask you, come in prepared for your lesson. It's going to help you. It's going to help your instructor. So if anybody would like to volunteer for updating the GPS or anything like that, let me know. The vacuuming and that type of stuff can be done by anybody anytime you're in. The other thing I like to do, Ed is on tonight, but Ed and David honchoed the last aircraft wash. I'd really like somebody to take care of that. I'm not saying you have to be participating in the wash every time, but we like to wash our planes 2 or 3 times a year. And I like to get one more wash in early October before the weather gets cold. So we have some nice looking planes to fly once we get past bug season. So I'll need somebody to agree to honcho the airplane washes as well. I'll send out an email tomorrow with a list of all the different jobs that we'd like people to volunteer for. So if it's specific, the help that we're asking for. Anybody have any questions on any of that?
So looks like Parker is a volunteer to take on 6690 Sierra.
Okay, Parker, it's yours.
And my plan for the safety meetings from this point forward is we're probably going to have the captains give us a update on each plane at each meeting, so that they'll be sort of in charge as well of doing that. All right, so you have anything else? You want me to keep going?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. So sort of end up on the club stuff at the admin side. Remember, when you're putting in your reservations, try to, we would like to know what you're doing, where you're going. If you're self-clearing, that's great, with a phone number for you. If you're cleared by the instructor, put down the instructor's name, who's clearing you, and a good phone number. This is good information for us, because if that plane goes down, Sue does a very good job of trying to move you to another aircraft, or if we have planes moving around and stuff, knowing where you're going and what you're doing sometimes helps us plan on what's going on. If you don't have the information in there, it doesn't help us if we need that information. So if you can remember to put that in the comments, it would be a huge help for us. Let's see. Still some people letting in. I think it's going in. Okay, so since we haven't really gotten the captain stuff, I'm going to go through sort of the planes real quick so we know what's going on. The Arrow is online. We got a couple of little things that we need to be aware of with her if you're flying her. Number one, the number two GPS does not have a card in it at the moment. We ordered the card a while back. It did not arrive, so we're working on that. She flies fine, and the number one radio is fully functional with the current card in it. There's a couple of other squawks on it. One of the things on the Arrow that you have to be aware of is for some reason, sometimes the key is getting, doesn't want to come out of the off position. We had the mechanic look at it. He thought the issue was the key itself. So we got the master key and tried that, and it still seems to be an issue. So the mechanic is gonna take a look at that at some point to see what's going on. Personally, I have not had it where I couldn't get it started. Sometimes it took a little bit of jiggling to get it there, and I think we've only had one pilot who couldn't get it turned at one point, but everybody else I think has been able to do it. Vicky, you flew it, I think, just recently. Did you have you had some issues with it?
Just a minute.
There, go.
Okay, no, I didn't really have any troubles with it. Though there was one doing the grounding check that I wasn't sure whether it was going to turn back.
Okay.
There was a little kind of resistance, but it was just momentary of the 3 times that I started it.
Gotcha. So just be aware of it. Like I said, we're gonna have the mechanic look at that to see what's going on. I'm flying it tomorrow, so Mike Sandel and I'll take a look and see if we have any issues with it, and see what's going on, if we can try to figure it out. I don't know. It's it's always something.
We fly it quite a bit, and I've been unable to reproduce this problem. It turns every time for me.
That's because you're a very lucky man, Rick.
I guess so.
Okay, so we'll see what's going on with that. If you are flying the Arrow, the 3 light switches that show that the gear is down, the top one is dimmer than the other 2.
Not always.
Not always, but
sometimes.
So if it doesn't look like it's on, take a closer look, because it probably is on. And Vicky switched the bulbs to see if it was the bulb. It's not the bulb. So we're not exactly sure why. Sometimes it's dimmer than the other 2, but be aware of that.
The behavior I've seen is that it's dim when you first put it down a lot of times, and then later on final, it gets brighter for some reason. So yeah.
It might be tired at some point. I don't know what's going on. The other chronic problem with this plane is the landing light. The landing light has been fixed several times with, we thought a loose wire, but it continues to be intermittent. There's a good chance that we may end up just having to totally swap out that whole unit if they can't figure out what's going on. So that's what's going on with that. Let's see. Next plane is going to be 781 Fox Mike. She is having some issues with the heading indicator, but I believe we're getting that fixed fairly soon. So you want to jump in on that one? On 781?
I gotta remember now. Which one?
That's the heading indicator.
No, that was 783, I thought.
All right.
Was it 781? 781 only has the one radio. We're working on getting a second radio.
Correct.
On that. There was one write-up you got today that I didn't get.
Yeah, okay.
So I flew it middle of the day.
781?
Yeah, 781. And the heading indicator was spinning. And it would stop, and then it would spin again, and then it would stop, And finally, it just stopped.
What was the vacuum reading?
You know, I didn't even think to look, but the artificial horizon was fine.
Okay. All right. When you do make write-ups, try and make them as thorough as you can so we can tell, because every time I go to the maintenance, they ask me like 20 questions and I don't always have the answer. So if you give me more detail, it's better.
Sue, are you able to see the chat on this as well?
Yeah, I was writing that down when you asked me about 781.
Okay, great. Grab those names. We have people
I'm grabbing them.
volunteering.
I'm grabbing them.
All right, 781. So don't ask me why. We had the radio fixed, King radio fixed, and then for some reason we couldn't get it installed in that plane. We took it over to the avionics shop at Bay Bridge. They couldn't get it installed in that plane. I think David Wacker, if you're on, I think you just came on. I believe you took one of the radios out of one of the other two and it did fit in that spot. Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Maybe David's not on. I thought David would. So we're going to have to figure that out. It may have to go to the avionics shop and have it. I don't want to do it, but if it has to be done, we might have to just have a new tray installed in the whole 9 yards, which is going to be pricey, but it doesn't make sense that these radios are kind of the same radios, but the radio that we had fixed doesn't seem to fit in the other in 3 Fox or 2 Fox, which doesn't make sense either. So we're working on that. I know it's frustrating that we still only have one radio in that, but that's where we are, and we're trying to sort that out.
Gabe Pomeroy has offered to help us with that. He's doing all the avionics over at Bay Bridge.
All right, next, so 782. So Sue and I have talked with Phil Irving, and we've decided that, and actually Rick Niles had brought this up a while back, we need a 172 that is very strong, and Vicky also, not to let Vicky out. We need a strong, capable, actual IMC aircraft in the 172s. Unfortunately, we didn't have one because stuff would keep, breaking or, not working, which was frustrating. So we have decided that 782 is the first one that we're going to focus on getting to IFR capability so that you are comfortable taking it into actual IMC. So that's what we're doing. I believe we're close to getting that to where it'll be fully capable for IFR. It has 2 radios. They both seem to work. So there's a plus. I think there's a couple things. The landing light has to be fixed. And we're looking at was that the vacuum system, Sue? I can't remember.
Gabe's on, he's working on it. It's over at Bay Bridge right now. And I asked him to check and make sure everything was up to speed because Mike Pennington is taking his FAA check ride on Tuesday in that plane, hopefully. And they have a system that we were going to use in 783, which it sounds like 781 might need one too. So we seem to be having a lot of vacuum problems right now. But Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that we have a vacuum system over there to put in 782 right now if needed.
Yeah, that's correct. We do have a spare vacuum pump at Bay Bridge. And well, we looked the vacuum pump time and it seems like it's pretty low time, but we're going to spend, a little bit of, we're going to look at everything with a fine tooth comb and make sure we have no vacuum leaks or anything. Because I believe one of the squawks was it the attitude indicator that was giving a little bit of slant, a little bit of bank. Hello?
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll double check the squawks, but we were able to pull it in today and we are looking into it. So, but that's correct. We do have a standby new vacuum pump for it if needed.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
So I've been doing my instrument and flying all the instruments for all the three 172s. And I'll tell you that both 782 and 783, the attitude indicator was wonky. 783 would kind of go away for a little bit and then come back and then go away and then come back. And then 782, it was like 4 degrees off. So like right in that, acceptable range. 781 had the best like vacuum system and everything so far from what I've seen, but it's not 141 approved. So I couldn't use it until I was done with 141.
Well, Vicky broke it today, so it's okay.
Yeah, we'll have to get it fixed. But I don't understand why Mike Pennington wants an attitude indicator for IFR. I mean, come on. he did his stage check partial panel.
Needle, ball, and airspeed.
That's all you need. All right. So, all right, 783 is okay. 783. We had the seat broke last week. So you got an update on her and the seat, don't you?
I do. So I think Gabe took a seat out of 782, put it in 783, so that could have dual. And then Mike called me today, and the seat for 782 or 783 has been welded, so it will be coming back either tomorrow or Monday. But we do have the seat back. It's welded. That brings up, be very, very gentle with these seats. They're old. And they do break. So just be aware, to handle with care, and don't put a lot of weight back on, like don't have the seat forward and reach in the back seat for something. I think that's what happened to the back of the seat kept flopping. It wouldn't stand up straight. So
Yeah. If I could add to that, actually,
Sure.
just the way that it broke the seat bottom, a lot of these seats, just because they try and keep the seats lightweight, there's not a lot of reinforcement in the corner bottom of the seat. So if you're getting in and out of the aircraft and let's say you plop down on the corner of the seat, the corner bottom of the seat, there's really not much there. So try when you put your weight in the seat to sit into the center of the seat. That'll definitely help. But yeah, that seat is now fixed.
great. Thanks for that information, Gabe. I forgot to mention. Good.
Yeah. Okay.
And an update on 783 and the radio situation. We do have the replacement Garmin to put in for that. The only reason it hasn't been done yet is you have to, when you do the switch, you can't just switch it out. You have to get the settings off of the installed one, which there's like, I don't know, 20 pages that you got to go through. And how I do it is you take a picture with my phone of each page of the setup of the one that's installed. Then I put in the new one, and then I got to go in there, and then I got to set all those settings to how it was on the one that was installed, so it'll work on that plane. Which I have not had time to do it, and we haven't had anybody else to get in there. But yes, we do have that radio. Once we get that out, I'm sending that Garmin back and the number 2 radio from the Warrior to the radio shop for repair. So hopefully we'll get that done sooner than later. On to the Warrior. The Warrior's up. We got a couple of squawks on it. We did have some water that seemed to be coming in. So we're looking at a possible bad door seal that needs to be looked at. So we'll see how that pans out. Let's see. And then the 2 150s, this 63532 is back on. It's only we're still in break-in. So if you have a cross country you want to take, that's the plane to do it. If you're qualified in the 150, if you're a student who needs a cross country, not a bad idea to take 63532 and get her broken in. And then the other 150s online, we probably will be changing the tires on her real soon. just because they're starting to wear, but we got to get that done. Actually, we've already talked to the mechanics on the tires. They've already ordered the tires and they're en route, I believe. You're on mute, Sue.
And I'm on you. They're due in tomorrow. And
Okay.
I talked to David Wacker about 690 Sierra, and he's going to try and take it over tomorrow. Mike said it was a 2-hour fix.
Excellent. All right, so that's the planes where we stand right now. So we are on, just to give everybody a heads up, our insurance policy runs through the end of September, and then we get the new policy starts October 1. We are anticipating an increase on the premiums. We don't know what it'll be. Depending on how that pans out, there could be a rate increase on the rental, just to try to keep costs in check. I still think if based on everyone else out there, we are in terms of value. I think we're a good value for what you're getting. So we try to keep things economical as best we can, but we do have to obviously pay the rent and the utilities and the insurance and the god awful maintenance costs that cost $1 gazillion a year. So just to give everybody a heads up on that. All right, safety portion of our we're gonna talk about one thing briefly, and then we have a video I want to show you, and then we'll be done. So one of the things I want to talk about is it came up just recently. Actually, there was a guy at Gaithersburg, and there was some questions about what he had done and stuff like that. And I actually got a question from somebody on what do you do if you have somebody from the FAA or a police officer or whatever comes up and wants to do an inspection while you're at the airport. It's a good question. So I'll give you what I do aviation. I've done defense work for aviation enforcement actions. So what I generally tell my clients is if somebody asks me that, if you get approached by somebody, you want to be polite. You want to be respectful. You don't want to, be a jerk about things. Overall, the people at the FAA are nice people, and they're doing a professional job, and there's no point in being rude to people. They should identify themselves. If they're from the FAA, they should ID themselves. If they're from the police department, they should identify themselves. And you can ask them for identification, again, politely. If you have somebody, passenger with you, then have them hang around and see what's going on. But you want to make sure you got your pilot's license and your medical, if you have the medical. Everybody should be using the checklist. We should make sure the plane's got the airworthiness certificate, the registration, and the POH and the weight and balance stuff in there. The one of the things that's changed in the last I don't know how many years is the FAA went from sort of enforcement to sort of education. So a lot of the they're not out there chasing us to catch us in the bad things. It's more of, hey, if something isn't done wrong, it's education and compliance. So it's some people call it the more friendly FAA than years ago when maybe they didn't think they were that friendly. So I get the question a lot of times too, is what do you do when you get that, hey, possible deviation or something, we got to, take down a number and call it. Do you call the number? Do you not call the number? I have always advised my clients to call the number, because again, if you don't call the number, there's a good chance that it could be kicked up into a more serious investigation, depending on what's going on. There's no, you don't lose anything by calling the number and talking to whoever, the controller or the controller supervisor, if he's just going to tell you what the issue was. You can listen. I wouldn't necessarily get into a debate with them about it. If they're telling you something that clearly you did, and it was clearly wrong, I'm not telling you to admit it, but I don't see any problem with you listening to their perspective. While if you just ignore it, there was years ago, there was a plane that I think went into Frederick that had done something wrong. And apparently he landed the plane and they told him to call a number. He didn't call the number. And then apparently, taxied to his hangar, got into his hangar as quickly as he could and shut the door. And he sort of hid. Well, apparently he did something pretty serious. I think he had clipped P40 or something because they found him anyway. So, and I'm not so sure he made any friends by, hiding and taking away. So just, just practical stuff just to think about is if you're a rated pilot, you shouldn't be carrying your logbook with you because you don't have to. And honestly, it's a little dangerous because if something happens to it or you lose it, then it's kind of screws you up. Obviously, if you're a student and with the endorsements, you do need to have the logbook in there if you're solo. So that's just, just a couple things. If they're going to look at something and there's some sort of issue, everybody should have known about the Pilot's Bill of Rights. Congress passed that. We have that out there. The FAA, if they are looking into investigation, they're supposed to give you, notice that you do have the Bill of Rights as a pilot, and you can go from there. But like I said, their job is to, help as best they can. So, it's not a situation where they're, an antagonistic sort of relationship. So I just wanted to throw that out there for everybody on that. All right, next we're going to watch.
Frank.
Yes,
Mike,
ma'am.
Mike Bevan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say if I could throw in a couple of things. First, if somebody from the FAA approaches you, they will have something that looks like that. And
he looks good in that picture.
We are supposed to show it to people if it's a case, if it's not somebody. I'm lucky in most cases it's somebody that knows who I am. They call the warning they give you when they have a possible violation a brasher warning, and they'll give you the phone number to call. When you call that number, the main thing that they're doing is telling you what happened and getting your pilot information and contact information, which will then be referred on to those of this over in flight standards. And we are required to do an investigation of it. If it's a minor whoops sort of thing, it is usually handled at a fairly low level, and we'll try to, where possible, use counseling, or if we have some doubts that the person really is as current as they should be and needs some remedial training, we can offer the opportunity for remedial training before we get into the punitive things. But if you're like the guy a few years ago who on a nice Saturday, hot summer day, flew down the beach at Ocean City at 200 feet, we put some effort into it. We did find the guy, and he wound up with his license suspended for a bit. But for the most part, if it's in a simple, you just made a mistake, it'll be fairly straightforward. If it's somebody who's systemically doing things, bad things, or someone who has done something serious enough that we can't really ignore it, then we can go anywhere from a warning letter up through revocation, depending on what it is and how serious it is. Revocation is very rare, by the way. The big thing is, one of the things that is always helpful with the inspector you're dealing with is what we call a compliant attitude. If you know you messed up and you're not going to have Frank on the phone call with you to defend you, then it's usually easier to just talk about it, explain how it happened and what you plan to do to keep it from happening. Our main interest is keeping things safe, and a big tool we have to keep things safe is regulations that were written based on keeping pilots flying safely. That's about all I wanted to throw in. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we have a 15-minute video we're gonna watch, and then we'll pretty much be done. I've reset my computer. I got a new system going on here, so hopefully this will work. Does everybody see the real pilot on their screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's closed caption, so if you have a problem with the hearing it, you should be able to read it, but I'll try to get the volume going. Woo.
Did you pay for this?
There's no audio.
Okay. Whoa. Let me turn up the volume. All righty. Just a couple of takeaways on that. The next quarter's safety assignment was emailed to you earlier. It's a personal minimums article with a chart to make your own personal minimums. Part of flying is it's not going to work if you're VFR at your departure and it's VFR at your destination and you're going 400 miles over top an overcast layer. Not a good idea as a VFR pilot, which was kind of the mistake I think he made in that one. And I kind of liked it when he said, I looked at my GPS and the airport was green. Well, what's green mean? You got a 3,000-foot ceiling and 5 miles visibility, so it could be overcast at 3,000 feet and 10 miles below. Visibility is 10 miles underneath that overcast. Well, that doesn't really help you if you're coming in at 6,000 feet. You got to get down. So the other thing is I'm a big supporter of when you have issues, it's best to deal with them earlier than later. ATC is there to assist you. If you're going to make a decision that, you're getting yourself into a trouble and you don't want to, you're getting yourself into a safety trouble and you don't want to get yourself into regulatory or legal trouble, so you're not going to ask for help, then you're pretty much an idiot, because there's a lot of people that have done that who are now dead because they should have asked for help and they did. So, it's not a mistake to ask for that help soon and pay attention. So that's about all I have for tonight. I hope everybody got something out of it. Keep flying safe. And if you don't get the email with the attachment, let me know and I'll get it out to you. Thanks,
Frank-
everybody.
Frank, I got one thing.
Sure.
Would you email me Chris, Jerry, and Pete? There was no last name for Chris, Jerry, and Pete. Thanks.
All righty. That's it, unless somebody's got any questions or comments, or I don't want to hear any complaints at this point.
So where can we hear the recording from this or play it back?
We're gonna give, it'll be posted on, you'll get a link. It's off the cloud. So as soon as we end it, I'll get it and it should be sent out. I'll probably send out an email and also post it on the website.
There's a link in it. There's a link in the chat window.
And this is John Tyrell. I'm updating everybody's profile who's on the call. So please keep the call up for now. And if you would, just don't disconnect for a little while yet. I'm still working my way down through the list of participants. I don't want to miss anybody.
I think I've got everybody, John. I can send it to you.
Okay, I'm pretty close to getting through.
Oh, are you? Okay, we'll just hold on for a minute.
So hang tight, everybody, until we get your list so that you get credit for being on the meeting.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Maurice here. I still haven't got signed off for solo out of your airport. So I've been flying out of Gaithersburg. Seems like every time I go up, they want one more thing for me to do. I mean, I don't know what else I could do now. He wants to do emergency landings. I've done turns around a point, take off, did all your paperwork, paid you a year in advance. We did short fields, soft fields, go around, turns around a point, S turns. Now he wants to do emergency landings. And his schedule seems to be filled all the time where the planes aren't available. So to stay current, I got to fly out of Gaithersburg solo.
All right, Maurice, who were you last flying with instructor-wise?
Russell. And then look
Okay.
at his schedule now, he's booked up all the weeks. Since every time I go to Russell, he's booked up or the plane's not available. So.
All right, I
I
will
don't know
talk
what
to
to tell you.
Russell. I'll talk to Russell and then we'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, well, okay.
Anybody else got anything while we're waiting for John to finish up?
Just an off the wall comment. Thank you, Adam, for providing the mandatory cat for a Zoom meeting.
My dog was lying on the bed behind me, but I didn't have her in there.
Vicky's a cat person.
I think Adam had a dog too in his.
Well, Don Els had his baby.
That is true.
We had everything tonight.
I did, yes.
Oh, I got a question. Has anyone noticed all of the meows on 121.5 when you're on the Eastern Shore?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What is
I'm
that?
not the only one then.
Somebody
That's
getting funny?
that's Adam's off. He takes his cat when he goes to the Eastern Shore.
Nice. Well, I enjoy it. So.
So I got one for you. So Sue and I were training on the Eastern Shore, and we were on the CTAF, I forget which frequency, and we heard some guy come on, and he basically said, Cessna November 2345. 6 miles on left base, no, right base. And he kept on going on this. It was, and then he finished. And then somebody else comes on immediately and says, that was just horrible. I thought it was pretty funny. I forget which airport he was at. Kind of sounded like Fletcher, to be honest with you.
Okay, this is John. I think I've got everybody in here.
I'm not that bad.
But I do have a question. Who has the phone number 301-490-2583?
That's Pete. It's Pete Budal.
What's Pete's last?
Budalis. It's Pete
The duelist.
Budoulis. Thanks, Pete.
All right, well, we're good. Everybody have a good evening. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Stay safe.